I have one more announcement, and that is the Happiness Project officially opens their new property a week from Saturday. You're all invited to come. 1 to 4 o'clock. We have a Tico marching band. We have a Tico dancers, and we have a Tico rock group. So Danny is in the band.
Yes, I'm going to mention him.
It's complicated, but he's there.
I know. They're going to go. Yeah, okay.
You have to know the joke. That's an inside joke.
I'll tell you the story.
Okay, so 1 to 4, free prizes, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be really fun. Maybe
when is it 1 to 4 when?
1 to 4 next Saturday. Not tomorrow, 8 days.
That's the day the kids come.
Okay, great.
Okay, very good.
Any other announcements? Okay. How about
I have one.
Bill?
I was in Breckenridge, Colorado, and I randomly met 2 people that both knew my.
Isn't that cool?
It's a small world. Indiana and Christina. Christina said she's known you for like 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
They're from Breckenridge? Where you live?
Yeah, I did.
Colorado.
Wow.
It's like most deepest pressure massage work I ever had.
March
If you want to go back for a couple runs, go back next week.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Okay, guys, you can talk afterwards.
There are
Hey,
some new people.
new people. If you'd like to, we do not force new people to introduce themselves. If you'd like to,
I don't know
that's great.
why we don't.
No, because I have said that I think that's rude. Okay.
So my name's Richard. This is my first extended stay in Costa Rica, and my guide is the lovely Colleen.
Yay! Lovely.
From
Canada, Colleen.
And are you familiar with the Dharma already?
No.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Beginner's mind.
Yep.
Yep, here we
Good.
go.
Who else? Anybody new? We got a big group today.
Yes, and we say hi.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Becky Davidson from Toronto, and I am so thrilled to be here. I'm familiar with Dharma Talks because of my beloved friend Colleen.
Oh my
And I've
goodness.
watched a lot of the podcasts, and Ruthie, what a complete treat to see you and know you.
Thank you.
How sweet is that?
Thank you. That's
Nice to
sweet.
have you here. Anybody new out here want to introduce yourselves? You want to introduce them?
What?
My name is Jessica. I'm from Canada, and I've been living in the Yomi area for like 18.
Okay. Great.
What did she say?
Welcome. 2018, since 2018, Dominical area. Okay. Good.
You don't mind them to speak up, particularly from
They're way out there though,
Yeah.
so they're doing the best they can. Do you want to introduce yourself? Hi. Hi, Heather. Same as what the other girl said. Perfect. That's easy. Ditto. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Good. Welcome everybody. Big group today.
Yeah. Okay. One more coming, and then we'll Sharon here.
No.
Who's got the dinger?
Suzanne.
Suzanne's singing.
Suzanne, you ready to be the dinger?
No, but hey, what did you say about Sharon? She'll be down in a little bit?
Okay. Good.
Okay, good morning. Pura Vida. Welcome to this week's Dharma Talk here at beautiful Bali Rica in beautiful Costa Rica. Today's topic is going to be the Noble Eightfold Path section or part 2, which is steps 3, 4, and 5, and I can remember all the numbers, and when you get to know Buddhism, you'll know a lot about numbers. They go on and on. So anyway, because they didn't have writing, so they, did it by numbers. So you have everything. It's 2 of this, 4 of that, and 6 of that. It's just for the person who is brand new. Before we have the talk, let's take a few deep breaths. Raise and drop our shoulders. get comfortable. Everybody looks really comfortable. And close our eyes or let them rest gently at about a 45-degree angle. Take another deep breath, and we will simply sit in stillness and silence for 3 minutes, which is just enough time to make the transition from the world out there to the world in here. So, ding again, honey. Did I over ding you? Okay. 3 minutes.
Suzanne, before we begin, can you turn off this fan? This middle fan, it's right above you. I think that everybody will be able to hear Ruthie.
Oh, and you know, I don't have my hearing aids on today. So everybody,
Speak up.
please speak up. There we go. I'll do my best, and then I have to lean over and ask him sometimes. Okay, well, since the name of Danny came up for the Happiness House, I found Danny to be an amazing philosopher. And when I first came here 19 years ago, Danny was a very young man, I think probably late teenager. and he was my driver, and he took me all around to find out everything. And he spoke a little bit of English, and he had one word, and it covered everything. He used it for everything. And it would be like, Danny, are you going to visit your mother this weekend? Well, it's complicated. Oh, okay. Oh, did you get the car fixed? Well, it's complicated. So I said, you know what? That is one word. You could give a whole talk, just get everybody to sit down and say it's complicated and go home. You're all done, that's the talk. Go figure it out. Because it certainly is complicated. And today's topic on the Noble Eightfold Path, the fourth of the Four Noble Truths, looks simple. And it looks so simple that I think we're going to have to take a sort of a separate tack from usual. It goes this way, for those of you who are new. The foundational first teachings of the Buddha are known as the Four Noble Truths. And they begin with an observation of a problem, which is that in life there is suffering, which is also discontent or just ill, not feeling good. And that's the first one. That is awareness. So that step you work on your awareness of what is. The second step on the Eightfold Path of the Four Noble Truths is causes and conditions. Generally speaking, this is what causes the suffering. And the third of the Four Noble Truths is the cessation of suffering. How do we get out of it? And the fourth Noble Truth that we're working on is called the Eightfold Path. So we're back to where we started. Now, the first two steps on the Eightfold Path. By the way, have all of you seen those old travel things where you take them out and the folds, things all drop down and it tells you where you go see attractions and things like that? That's what this is. The Eightfold Path is the trip to cessation of suffering on a spiritual path of enlightenment. Where you go, you start at the beginning, you work your way through. It's divided into three parts. The first part is right view or right understanding. The second step is right intention. Then you go to where we are today, the third, fourth, and fifth steps. The third step is right speech. The fourth step is right action. The fifth step is right livelihood. Now, when we talk about three sections, they're called the wisdom section, the morality or ethics section, and the mindfulness and meditative section. When I said that about being complicated, the whole morality thing doesn't excite most people. I mean, here we are, we've heard all of this a million times. We know we're not supposed to kill, lie, steal, etc. We know that. So here we go. Don't tune out. It's very important that you stay tuned in because it keeps going through levels and it associates with every other thing in Buddhism. Everything in Buddhism is interconnected. So you can start anywhere. This is just a nice, easy format. quite an amazing handbook, guidebook, on a trip from what's called dukkha, which is suffering, to sukha, which is called happiness.
For those of you that are new, this is all right up here on this board. So if you want to visualize over here today while Ruthie's talking, sometimes it's hard to keep all those concepts straight. It's
know.
right up there on the board for you. The Eightfold Path is right here, starting like a clock.
Yeah. Okay. So any questions? We've got 4 Noble Truths. We've got an Eightfold Path, which is the 4th Noble Truth. I told you there were numbers here. A lot of numbers. Okay. It sounds complicated, and it is. But he has made it really simple in the outline form. And that's all we're talking about in the 4 Noble Truths. It's a guidebook. All of the teachings are under the various headings. So the 8 are like chapters as you go along. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay? You realize it's a case of taking something very complicated and making it simple. And I'm with Danny. The things you need to take into this journey with you in your little knapsack, one of them is try to keep it simple. Don't get caught way out there in the weeds, overthinking, overreacting, over anything. So if I could give you any hints as you start on the path, is to learn to relax. Because what you're going to be doing is practicing. And you won't practice properly unless you're relaxed when you practice. Relaxation doesn't make you limp. It gives you the correct way to use your energy. So you're going to be doing practices. They're very clearly outlined. But they can get very complicated as well. Because you are going to be operating on 2 levels. One is called relative and one absolute. One is called mundane or ordinary, and one is called absolute. One is called, the most common usage is dualistic and non-dual. Dual and non-dual worlds. Right this moment, here together, we're always in both at the same time. They are both separate and together at the same time. But we're here, and the dualistic world that we live in every day, the mundane world, is a world in which you have a constant problem of opposites. For every in, there's an out. For every up, there's a down. Okay? You have constant choices. Choice, choice, choice. Decision, decision, decision. All day, every day. We don't even think about most of them. But sometimes we can really get caught in making very difficult decisions. And with this comes uncertainty. So we're not sure if we're doing the right thing or not. So stay calm. Take it easy. Practice the practices. Don't worry. Try to have a bit of a sense of humor. And you not only will survive Buddhism, you will love it. Because Buddhists have more fun. It's just that simple. And it's true. The more you're around them, the more you realize it. Because we don't sit around being all self-righteous or being all strict. One of the things that Buddhism is really good at is going with the flow. It's a very important part. Because in the second noble truth, the things that cause suffering are craving, grasping, clinging, and those are the three main ones, and then ignorance and delusion. If you don't cling to something, if you learn to let it go, things go much easier in life. If any of you come from a family as conservative as mine was, and you get into Buddhism, you realize that the teaching that everything changes all the time is an antidote that you can work in as a conservative, but it's kind of the curse of conservatism is that you want to maintain a status quo. You don't want things to change. And you do want to hold on to things. So you've got to balance that in order to reach a sort of balance or poise or middle way where you can be both. It's not easy. It's complicated. It definitely is complicated.
Can I add the flow
Yep.
skillfully downstream? Flow skillfully downstream is the Buddhist middle way idea to this. That you go with the flow of life, but you do it skillfully.
Right. Okay, so some of the things you take with you. For example, realize that you only have to deal with 3 responses to anything. You like it, you don't like it, or you don't give a darn. That's it. No matter what happens to you, that is your response or your reaction. Positive, negative, or neutral. So that cuts a lot of the complication down to size. As you learn something, so the first thing you do in self-analysis is how am I responding to that? Am I attracted to it? Or am I kind of repelled by it? Or, I don't care one way or the other. You're going to start learning a lot about yourself because that's what Buddhism is. There is no human form, anthropomorphic God in Buddhism. You have energy. You can call it divine energy, you can call it whatever you want. But it is definitely run not by personality, but by the machinery, the process that goes with the energy you put into it and how you make it work for you. I didn't say that very well. So that's one of 3 things. You yourself, no matter what happens, whether you're here today, you're going to say, I enjoyed it, I didn't enjoy it, or, take it or leave it. That's the way we are. This is true nature. Okay? So that's one of 3 things. The way we judge is also 3. So we're playing numbers here today. We ask 3 things of everything we're examining. Is it skillful? And in that skillfulness, or will it do what I want it to do, is it also virtuous? So we're faced with a decision. Is it going to achieve what I want it to achieve, and is it going to do it virtuously? The second thing you ask is it beneficial to myself and to others? If it's not beneficial, if it's, that sort of depends on how much you're putting into it, how much you think you'll get out of it, and what it will do for the world, you and everybody else. And the third thing you use for judgment is how much or how little harm does it do? Principles in Buddhism include nonviolence, and doing no harm. This is how we evaluate that which we're looking at. All right, so Jeff last week did right view and right intention. Now today we're going to touch on the subjects I just said we all know. They're called the 5 precepts. These are steps 3, 4, and 5. The first precept is right speech. It's very interesting, you will notice, that right speech is one section all by itself, step by itself. But it also is one of the 5 precepts, which is why I brought that word up. It's the only thing in Buddhism that is crossing itself that way. So that should tell you that there's something really important about speech. How much have you had trouble? How much suffering has there been in your life and other people's lives from ill will and bad speech? It goes on and on, example after example. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to the sea. Loose lips sink ships. On and on and on. One that always interested me, and then Buddhism answered it, is when I was a child, I remember the little thing, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And as a child, I thought, oh yes, words hurt me terribly. Why would you say that words don't hurt you? In Buddhism, you're going to learn about detached involvement. And it simply means that, words are concepts. You deal with concepts at your own level. If you are a person who is easily offended, somebody could say something really quite harmless and you could take enormous offense. Or if you're a person that's, easygoing, the same thing would just go right by and they just go with the flow. So that's a little bit about speech. But the kinds of speech that are initially talked about in Buddhism as a precept, we'll get to that in a little while. Heart speech, gossip, lying, slander, deceptiveness in all forms. Here we go, I'm going to jump back another time. Buddhism does not give out commandments. None of the things we're going to talk about today are commandments. Buddhism says refrain from harsh speech. Refrain from killing. Refrain from lying. Instead of black and white, thou shalt not. It realizes that there are causes and conditions. We're back to that. There may be a good reason why you told a lie. Maybe, maybe not. You could argue the fact. Go ahead, have the debate. But do what you think is right. These are called right, and here was another note. This is kind of like all little post-it notes today. The word right doesn't mean right as in good or bad, correct or incorrect, or whatever. It's from a Sanskrit and Pali words that are nebulous. They don't translate well. So this is not an either or. This is right or wrong. It's not right as in right and wrong. It's right as in fitting, appropriate, useful. It has a whole multitude, harmonious, collaborative. So when you hear right speech, wrong, right speech, right effort, and so on, don't think that this is a black and white. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. There are a lot of subtleties here. It's complicated. So here you go. The word discernment comes up. When you talk about right speech, you're also talking about right listening. What are you hearing? Are you hearing what you really think you're hearing? Are you editing, putting things through filters of opinions? Can you stand back with detached involvement and listen to what's being said and withhold the judgment until you've had a chance to think it over? Can you withhold reaction, the like, not like, or neutral? Begin to listen as part of your right speech. So, again, it's complicated, but it works. It will enlarge your way of listening to things. Am I missing some right speech? I'm sure I am. Think of consequences. I was thinking of Shakespeare's Othello the other night, and the deception of Iago when he goes to Othello, and he whispers in his ear that his wife is unfaithful to him, and Desdemona is not unfaithful. She doesn't know why her husband turns on her and ultimately murders her, because Iago was jealous. He wanted Othello for himself. He didn't like her. So, simple words can cause huge problems. Everybody cool with that? What can we add to that?
I only have one basic thing, and that is, it's really interesting how these Eightfold Path all mingle with each other.
Oh yeah, everything.
Because if you go to a communication seminar, right speech seminar, if you do not hear that the basic idea is understanding, you haven't listened. And if, as we speak and as we listen, it's not about coming to some kind of understanding, then we've missed it. But when we do come to understandings, even if they're different, it's really interesting that right view, the very first one, is also called right understanding. Mm-hmm. And so this right speech and this right view all mingle with each other.
And intention even more so.
All three of these first three are really beautiful together.
What is your intention when you open your mouth and talk?
Mm-hmm.
Is do you have, are your intentions good? Mm-hmm. That's defined. Yeah. Right. Any comments?
Brad here. Go ahead, Brad.
Just with regards to communication and understanding, there was something that I heard recently that I thought was really beautiful and helpful. If you're having an important conversation or any conversation with somebody, to follow up when you say something with, when I say this, what did you hear? Mm-hmm. I think is a really beautiful way of saying, like, oh, I want to know if you understood me the way I hoped to be understood or not.
Yep. Yeah, another way I heard that was, so that I know I've expressed it properly. Can you repeat that back to me so I'm sure I conveyed it?
Yeah.
This is right out of the Communication Workbook, Chapter 1.
Marriage counseling.
And so, if you really want to have understanding, you have to keep your own statements, your own opinions, your own reaction, your own judgment away from that moment. so that you can totally join how that person is presenting whatever it is they're presenting. This is difficult when you're not agreeing with them. To that you immediately come to judgment of what they're saying, and then you're thinking about what you're going to say in return. That's not right speech.
No.
That's not helpful. There's no understanding of that. So say it one more time how it was taught to you, Brad. That was nice how you said it.
So just to follow up by saying, when I say this, what is it that you hear? So just giving them an opportunity to clarify whether there is understanding or whether it's out of alignment.
Yeah.
I would imagine everyone here has dealt with misunderstandings. Just because we interpret the way something is said, tone is important. The words we actually use are important. Checking to find out if they're being heard properly is important. All these things. Now we're going to do a little more right speech because we're going to step 4, which is a right action. This is part of the 3, 4, 5, which is ethics or morality. I like ethics much more. I did mention last week that for those of you who have access to it, you might enjoy reading the Dalai Lama's book, Beyond Religion, which is about ethics. That all these religions that quarrel and fight with one another all have the same ethics. But they get into separation instead of unification. And then I'm right and you're wrong. And so take it from there. We won't go into it any further. But step 4 is one of the 5 precepts. And it goes this way. Refrain from killing. The next one is refrain from taking that which is not freely given. The third is refrain from sexual misconduct. The fourth is refrain from bad speech, which we've just covered. And the last one is refrain from harmful intoxicants. So there you have it. We all know we're not supposed to lie, steal, or whatever. The interesting one, which is a wonderful test, we'll have it again in the next one. What is sexual misconduct? In the Buddha's day, generally this was simply adultery. That was basically, that was it. All these other things that have come since are just embroidery because people want to be, they want to scapegoat somebody for a lot of the times. Or it's just culturally not something that people do in that particular tribe or country. Could be different in the next tribe or the next country. It changes with time. So the main thing is we go back to the 3. Remember what they are? Is it harmful? What were the other 2? Is it harmful? Well, but as far as sexual goes, is it consensual? Does it harm anyone? As long as it is consensual and non-harming any other party, go for it. I sent Jeff, I thought, I don't know if you could understand his voice.
I did understand.
But a really funny answer to this by the Dalai Lama, which he says, well, it's really none of my business.
Actually, the interviewer was asking him what he thought about gay relationships.
Yeah.
In the interview, and he went through those 3 things. Does it do any harm?
Yeah.
Is it mutual? And anyway, and then he said, beyond that, I say it's not my business.
Yeah.
This is the head of Buddhism.
Yeah.
talking about you're not going to see any other heads of religious groups giving that answer. That answer is that's not my business. That's where you have to look at your intentions, where you have to look at your relationships.
That's right.
And those things.
So
it's actually beautiful. It's nice.
Yeah, it's very.
As a gay person, it was relieving.
Well, it could, there's just all kinds of stuff attached to that. And a lot of it has nothing to do with sex at all. It has to do with wanting scapegoats or just wanting to fight or whatever. But anyway, so that's that one. And the last one was right livelihood. So did we get all 5 of them?
Yes.
Refrain from killing. I'll let that one go. Refrain from taking what is not openly or freely given. That's stealing, or it could be stealing things besides money or material things. Don't take things unless you are welcome to them. The third is refrain from sexual misconduct. No, it doesn't say refrain from sex. It says refrain from misconduct. So you determine. You know what's right and what's wrong. If you're grown up, you know the expression consenting adults. But that's that one. And the last one is one that's familiar to many people who practice the Dharma know about intoxicants. Here again, you have a question. A lot of us, I am not one, but so I shouldn't say us, but are into psychedelics and various forms of natural health things. And so they can be intoxicating. And does he really mean that? Well, they really didn't do much with psychedelics 2,600 years ago. And I think if you
Opium,
were here
I
now,
thought.
yeah, they did have it. They did, didn't they?
Opium.
Yeah, they had a lot of opium. But they had fun too, didn't they? That's why they're all those happy little monks running around. Yeah. Who knows? Anyhow.
Delete that from the video, please. Cut.
But I don't think that there is anything in there that says you can't use psychedelics, or what else would you call them?
Mind enhancing. Mind enhancing.
Okay.
But you just said refrain from harmful intoxicants. So what is a harmful intoxicant?
Well, you use the same things. Is it harmful? Does it hurt other people as well as you? Is it beneficial to you? I mean, most of the people I know who turn to psychedelics find them very beneficial. So, good for them. Alcohol is destructive. My generation, we didn't do drugs. Actually, I don't think I knew anything about them even until after I'd gone to college in the 1950s. But alcohol was a scourge. And I really have found very little benefit in families from alcohol. As long as it's in moderation, I suppose it's okay too.
Yeah,
But,
don't you think, Ruthie, that
but there's a lot of damage there.
in the Buddhist way where things are balanced, it's problematic when it gets out into the edges.
Well, it's the edges.
Of things.
Everything's on a spectrum in Buddhism.
Yep.
And everything is also on a cycle. So you don't have one end of the rope here and another end of the rope here. You've got the spectrum between the two, and they come together. So if you say alcohol is intoxicant is bad over here, and it's okay over here, it just is sort of a matter. But you can't exterminate things in Buddhism. You can't say this is all good and this is all bad. You have to realize that if you pull one end of a rope and you're going, what's the word I'm looking for? Straight, whatever that says. Well, if you pull this side, this one's got to come with it. If you pull back, this one's got to come with it. You can't kill it. It's always there. And what happens on the cycle, on the spectrum, is it comes back around and it meets. So what's the middle way is really not any one spot, because there is no middle. On a circle, it's a circle. So that's a relative thing. Anyhow, that's a whole nother time.
It makes me think of too much of a good thing is still too much.
Those words are
Well, we know the harm that can come from drug use, recreational drug use, not for medicinal purposes or for understanding or anything, but just for, it's a destructive pleasure. So that's that one. And so right livelihood is the fourth, fifth, sixth of these. And this is kind of an interesting one, because this one is totally fluid. When you're going like right and wrong on something, for example, let's go back a little bit to the precepts. Eating vegetables or eating meat. Is it wrong to eat meat? Because one of the right livelihood things given by in the Four Noble Truths is that you avoid poisons, selling people, meats, and I know the others too, intoxicants, and shoot, I didn't bring my notes. I know it and forget it, but anyway, that's me. So, anyway, but what happens in Buddhism? I know people who say, are all Buddhists vegetarians? Absolutely not. If you live in the Himalayas, where they don't grow any vegetables, you eat meat. You hunt and you eat meat. So when one of the right livelihood things says, don't be a butcher. Oh, the other one's weapons. Don't trade in weapons, people, meats. Now I've forgotten another one again. They come and they go for me, like this. But you get the idea. So as Buddhism spread, and it went just all the way from the southern tip of India all the way to Greece, all through the Middle East. And when it did, it ran into all kinds of different cultures. And it never said, no, you thou shalt not eat a bunny rabbit, If that's what you had to eat, that's what you ate. And so that one is very much in a constant state of flux because trade is so different. Businesses are so different. How are you going to take a job now and really be moral about it when it is involved with so many other businesses that aren't? How do you manage to juggle all the difficulties of livelihood? You go through all kinds of training, for example, let's pick law school or whatever. You become a lawyer in a firm and you find out they're really bad people in there. They're stealing, they're lying, they're sexually misconducting all over the place. That seems to be the rage these days. I don't know. Anyhow, everybody that they talk to, they look at their record and they say, ooh, I don't know. We've forgotten something. Anyway, So now what are you going to do? You have to feed your family. This is what you've been trained to do. So here you have the decisions. And you know what it is? It's complicated. It's very complicated. Buddhism is not going to say thou shalt not do something. When it's so complicated, you have no possible way of answering morality, non-harming, being non-violent. You can't fulfill all of it. So then you end up with some very, very difficult choices, and you have to make them. And that's part of the third noble truth. With the choices, the decisions you have to make. The answer here takes us back to the beginning. Go easy on yourself. Give yourself a lot of time to consider and turn things over. You can't just say, well, I just found out my boss is cooking the books. And I can't be around that. I'm hurting the clients whose accountings I'm doing. I'm quitting. Yeah, but you've got all kinds of other obligations. You may not be able to find another job where they don't cook the books because everybody's doing it. It's part of the culture now. All right, so not all your questions are so easily solved. And you recognize that, and you go with things. So that is it.
Can I add one thing to the right livelihood? You've talked a lot about the doing no harm piece of this. What about the doing good? You know, which is also
Good.
which is the flip side of that coin.
Yes.
So how, in what we do that earns a living for us, so that we sustain our lives, how might we be attached to things that are beneficial, that are good? That's the flip side to me of this coin. When I've done it before, I like to sit on that side and of the coin. It's how do I find my calling, my vocation, rather than I shouldn't do these things. And that to me is a really powerful thing for each of us at each stage in life. Many people here are retired. What is my calling now that I don't have to have a 40-hour-a-week job? How will I do good now? And those things. And so this right livelihood has that whole piece about where do I fit currently, and how do I whether it's making a living, how do I do good in the world? That piece I think is a really important piece of right livelihood as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So all of this fits in. You can take any single precept, any single one of the teachings, and fit it with every other teaching in all of Buddhism, because everything is connected. So if you are, for example, someone who's been in a very conservative family with very strict rules, and you don't change, and nothing is out of place, and everything is as it's supposed to be, and suddenly you found yourself in a hippie commune, then you've got some real thinking about things to do. Don't worry about it. Make your decisions. Do it yourself. This is all very personal. It's very intimate. It is not set in concrete. And it's also not sloppy. You go back to the very first idea of awareness. I'm just throwing something in that has been very interesting to me, is that all of these things, all of the right livelihood, right action, right speech, I love the third noble truth, which says that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. We are in control of our minds, and we can work. I love all of this, but I am listening all the time to what's going on in the world, and there is an all-out war on being woke, on education, on morality, on all kinds of things that to me, on compassion. The materialism is rampant. It's fascinating that all the things that I put on the positive side of the ledger are like, let's get rid of it. Let's kill it. And so it's complicated. It really, really, really is complicated. And it's all in your own hands. And you know right from wrong. And you know what you should be doing. And the question is, why do we know this and we just keep having the same problems over and over? So, but you can take it for yourself. I can't do it for society, but I can do it for myself. And we're never perfect. I told Jeff, I so fear that my 80% of non-Buddhist personality is always with me. I'm so afraid that I'm going to die, and the last thing I'm going to say is, oh shit. I don't want to do that. But I have never been able to break that wrong speech. That has stuck with me.
Well, you've never died before.
What, oh shit?
No, you've never died before.
Well, I think probably we have. I'm hoping I got another one.
Good point.
I like the whole idea of do-overs. a little at a time, Keep it going. But anyway, so we're not perfect. And there's so much suffering in this world. And we are, frankly, in a very dark era. There's a lot of anxiety. It's really important to work on our compassion, our loving kindness, our sympathetic joy, and above all, our equanimity. All these things we go into. So I'm just running on here now.
Okay. So we have about 10 minutes.
Oh,
and then
that's
we
not much time.
No, that's okay. We can some comments, some questions, things like that. Yes, go ahead.
So all these things that you're talking about that are going on in the world, I tend to just shut myself off from it. I don't want to know about it. I mean, it's going on. I can't fix it.
That's your choice.
I'm not sure that's a right action.
If it's right for you, it's right for you. You have options.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's saying this is the way you must do it. There are no commandments here. If it's right for you, if it keeps you sane
and in balance,
I think the downside is you won't be aware of a lot of stuff.
That's an upside.
And you
she said that's an upside.
Yeah, that's an upside. But it may keep you from not being able to be of assistance or help to other people, or there are always things you have to balance. You have to treat it your own way.
So what we're saying is it's complicated.
It's
what
complicated.
You just said. And so that's for
the
you.
lesson
That's for you.
today.
That's for you to make simple for you.
But it's not sloppy. It's not weak.
Yep.
It's not, it doesn't matter one way or the other. The greatest pitfall in Buddhist practice is nihilism. It doesn't matter. It's, one's as good as the other, You do it your way, I do it my way. Right speech, you say tomato, I say tomato, let's call the whole thing off, but it's not that way. It is far more honed in, tuned in, and awareness. And the last 3 of our steps are meditation and mindfulness. And that's where we put it together and go in and answer the questions. You sit, you learn to sit, you're going to find the answer within yourself that is good for you.
Other, yes.
Would you mind repeating what the name of the fourth truth was?
Say what?
The fourth noble truth.
Your fourth noble truth.
She wants to know the name of the fourth noble truth.
The Eightfold Path.
Equal. So that when you get to the fourth noble truth there, now you are on the Eightfold Path.
It's a noble Eightfold Path. The word noble, of course, I think most people just sort of instinctively know, it means elevated. It's the high
road.
The high road, not the low road. It's altruistic.
John.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, that was a good point you made, but I'd like to explore it a bit more. Does Buddhism allow for the concept that too much happiness, too much equanimity can be bad?
Anything can be bad. Done the wrong way, at the wrong time, with the wrong person. That's the causes and conditions. Discernment.
That's what's complicated to me.
Mm-hmm. It is complicated.
If your concept of happiness is to withdraw, right, from other people or situations and so on, and that makes you happy, is that good or bad? Does that harm anyone else? Does it affect?
Well,
we said to her that we didn't have an answer for that. That was her journey to it. So I don't think Buddhism is going to like nail it down with a hammer and a nail on that one. But go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify something. Did you say too much equanimity?
No.
Is that one of the,
Too much happiness. Yeah.
Too much. Well,
too much happiness I can understand.
Yeah.
I feel like equanimity in and of itself is the right amount. So I feel like it would be hard to have too much of the right amount. Or something.
There's happiness
Well,
and
react to say.
But that would be out of balance.
I just, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care, and that's equanimity.
Verging on
That
nihilism.
you can not make a decision about anything because you
That's
swing back
right.
and forth and back and forth.
that's right.
That can be bad.
I think there's some energy to equanimity.
That's a whole
In the balancing,
big
there's some
topic.
energy. Not like I'm going to withdraw all the energy.
T.S. Eliot, I love it. He's got in the four quartets. J. Alfred Prufrock says, "Do I dare to eat a peach?" We're so caught between which is it, which is it. You finally have to take a direction. But I think happiness is misunderstood a lot. They're not talking about giddy, silly happiness or shallow happiness. They're talking about when they say lasting happiness or nirvana, it means that you have actually transcended the defilements, which are greed, anger, hatred, etc. And when these are gone, that space that's there is what they consider joy or happiness, or at least the baseline for it. That which supports happiness. It's not material happiness. It's the opposite of material happiness.
When I think of happiness, for me, what I have to do is convert that word to at peace.
At peace. So when
Because
you
I've been to a lot of parties where everyone's drunk and happy, but I don't think that's what we're talking about.
No, it's not.
We're talking about being at peace.
Someone recently used the word that was sitting over here, is contentment. And that's a big part of it. Tranquility. Feeling at ease. Being comfortable in our own skin. Not being afraid.
Right. So happiness might be
When you
misused
don't
in
have fear.
Well, it's because the English word doesn't translate well. It's
No.
our understanding of happiness
Right.
in English
Right.
that kind of throws this off.
It's called nirvana,
Right.
which means blown out. You have blown out all the things that cause unhappiness. And what is the residue is contentment, peace of mind, tranquility. And that's happiness for them. That's the basic Buddhist idea of sukha. Dukkha to sukha.
One more. We got time for one more. Anyone else? Yeah.
I'm almost. Maybe that's what I put it. I'm curious about what the teaching would be on karma, for example.
Beyond what?
Karma.
Oh, okay. Karma plays a big role here.
I sort of get it because while I was a firefighter for 26 years, I always liked to torment my other captains at one of the other stations. Guaranteed, if he's running 7 or 8 calls during the day, I torment him and give him a little blast. Well, guaranteed, I run all night. So karma worked out for me, and it's been about 99% of the time. So I've given that up. I'm just curious what the teaching could be about karma itself.
It's a big topic. It's a big topic. Can you summarize the teaching of karma?
I'm not quite sure what you said. There are 3 teachings that here we go to 3 again, that you really need to deal with Buddhism. One is the idea of impermanence. Everything changes all the time. You have to be pretty quick on your feet, because wait a few minutes and it's going to be different. Your body's processing. The world is changing. Things are going. One is karma. And that is that, we talk about right speech, but ultimately, what you do speaks so loudly, we cannot hear what you say. So karma is what you do, right? It goes intention, speech, action, karma. It basically is reap what you sow, but it doesn't say it's going to be direct. It doesn't say that it's just going to be proportional. It's just that are you putting out what you want to get back? And actually by doing that you get a lot of it. But I don't know if that's the answer to your question.
Do you want to? Can I add one thing to that?
Go ahead and add. I'm not sure I answered it at all.
The 3 things that we're working on today: the right speech, right action, right livelihood. Under right action is often quite a lengthy discussion about karma. We didn't do it today.
No, that's a whole.
But because it's a big talk, it's a big topic. But under that, our actions always have a natural set of consequences. There's reward.
The energy you're putting out and the energy you're going to get
back.
Good.
No matter what
no guarantee
you do,
of that, but yes, generally that.
Everything you do changes the dial a little bit. It changes. I did say 3 things. The other one is impermanence, and the other one is interconnection. That everything is connected. And ultimately, when we talk about unification, that's what it's all about. It's the oneness. A universe is that it's everything. So those 3 take into consideration.
How about if we do a whole talk on karma in February?
I love to talk on.
That would be.
Can I do
that would
talk
be
on karma?
You're in charge. I'm just here. I'm here helping.
No, you're not.
Yes, you can do a talk on karma.
We can do 2 or 3 talks on.
We can. It's a big topic. Okay, we'll do it. You helped us. Thank you.
Okay.
You want to do loving kindness?
Yes, we'll do loving kindness. Okay.
You're gonna have to teach today.
If you're looking for antidotes to things, you can start with the cultivation of compassion. And if compassion is a little bit maybe more than you can handle, just start not putting conditions on friendliness. Start trying to feel and absorb the idea of loving kindness or maitri, which is very, very potent. If you do, I think, no other initial meditation, this is the one you'll see results from. Now, it's very, very pliable. It can be teeny tiny short. It can be one word or two words or a little short sentence. We're going to do a long one. We got time? Mine?
Well, it's 10 after, so you decide.
We got 10 more minutes?
Yep.
Okay, by the time we get through? Okay. All right, so we're going to, for those of you who are just riding along on this, I'm going to name 5 people on outgoing rings around, starting with self, moving to someone you love, moving to someone that you know but you're not closely connected, moving to someone in conflict, and moving to all sentient beings. This is the expansion of unconditional friendship, of loving kindness. It's not love, and it's not necessarily kindness all by itself. It's the two together. This is a Buddhist teaching, and I'm going to do a kind of long form, which is I'm going to say a sentence or a phrase to the person we're talking about, and you repeat it to that person inside. Please try and actually visualize them. Take deep breaths. Let your imagination go. Feel what you're doing. You may find you've got a lot of obstructions, maybe not. But we're going to start with ourselves, because you really can't love everybody unless you love yourself first. You can't give from an empty cup, as the saying goes. So bring yourself to mind. Get comfortable, everybody. If you want to stretch, we've been over an hour, so take a moment. I hope this talk wasn't too flippant. It's that we know all these things, but we don't often consider them with any depth. And we're practicing them all the time. Okay, so here we go on loving kindness to yourself. Say to yourself, self, may I be well. May no harm come to me. May I live with ease, that's equanimity, balance, poise. May I live with ease, calm, and peaceful. May I be happy. Smile to yourself. Take another deep breath. Bring to mind now someone you love with all your heart. See his or her face. Say his or her name. Smile and say, may you be well. May no harm come to you. May you live with ease, calm and peaceful. May you be happy. Breathe. Smile. Move the next ring out to your neutral person. You may or may not know their name. If you don't know their name, address them as friend. It could be somebody who waits on you that you always find them friendly themselves. Or it could be a new neighbor or something, anyone. It could be a complete stranger. And to this person say, dear friend, may you be well. May no harm come to you. May you live with ease, calm and peaceful. May you be happy. And now, go the fourth ring out to to someone with whom you are in conflict. Could be someone very close to you. Could be someone long gone. Could be anyone. Just someone for whom you bear ill will. And this is one of the things we want to blow out, is ill will. So quite consciously and deliberately look this person straight on, see them clearly without judgment, just as another flawed human being, and say, may you be well. May no harm come to you. May you live with ease, calm and peaceful. May you be happy. Breathe. Feel what you feel. Do you feel a little freer? Are you still all tightened up? Whatever you feel, you feel. And now we're going to change direction. We're going to go all the way up to the whole universe. The only place big enough to hold that in our imagination is in our hearts. So we put our hands over our hearts. If you take a breath, see if you can feel your heart. Now we say this a little differently. All the beings out there, all sentient beings, and this includes animals and insects, and birds and fish, everything that is sentient. And you say, may all beings everywhere on this plane and all other planes be well. May all beings everywhere be safe. May all beings everywhere be free from suffering. May all beings everywhere be happy. If you're at home and you have time, you can sit with this. Kind of let it marinate. When you're ready, open your eyes, release your hands, smile at your friends and your neighbors, and we will come to our conclusion, which is up here for those of you who don't know it. This one we say together. I'm going to count to 3. We're going to take it nice and slow and loud today because it's complicated. You know? Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Go in peace. Go making peace. Living gently. Loving mightily. And bowing to the mysteries.
There you go.
Thank you, Ruthie.
Beautiful.
Thank
Thank you, Ruthie.
Well, I don't know. That was,
Thank
you
you.
know, that's the minute you say morality, people are like, oh,
Nah, we're good. We're good. We need a little morality.
I need more morality.